You are listening to the We Hired a Sitter for This podcast.
We hired a sitter for this.
We have a roster of like 7 sitters.
I hate authority, but I'm a mom.
I'm an old man. I need orthopedic shoes.
The laughs, the chuckles, the TMI.
Some people might say, why would you have kids? The oceans are rising. The economy's collapsing.
And they're not wrong. I'm Ross.
And I'm Patrick.
And we hired a sitter.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 166 of We Hired a Sitter for This. Let me check. I got to check my records. Is it 166 or is it some other number? I went on my computer. Do you ever do that thing where you go on your computer to check a thing, but then you look at the wrong thing and you end up looking at TikTok or Instagram or whatever else instead of doing the business you were meant to do? That's how they got us. They made this stuff so enticing and so addictive that you don't do the business. Yes. 166. Hello, welcome. My name is Patrick Holbert. I'm one of your co-hosts of We Hired a Sitter for This, and today I'm welcoming to the stage for the first time my other co-host, this Christmas tree. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving. Gas Store's not here. Ross is not here. This is going to be a weird one. Are you up for the hang? Are you up for a weird podcast hang with just me talking into a mic for God knows how long? I don't know how long I'll talk. I do have quite the monotone. I'm very self-conscious of my monotone, so this might be an episode that you would want to put on for falling asleep at night or for putting on in your car when you're thinking about driving off the road into the river for the long sleep. Maybe you want to put this on while sex stuff is going on and you're trying to delay orgasm because this is a very unsexy sounding voice. Maybe you want to listen to this podcast while you're knitting and you need... I really think this podcast is for when you really need sleep and you need to just crash because I will lull you to sleep by myself. I'm getting texts from the wife that I can see on my phone. I'm recording video on my phone. Usually I record video on a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K. All right. Let me just pause for a second. One sec. Okay. All right. We're rolling. Everybody, we're rolling. We're going to just plow through this. I guess it was important for me to podcast today because we've kept such a good streak going. Gas Store started podcasting with me back in January, and we've been able to release an episode every single week this whole year. So I just wanted to basically put something up today. I'll try to make it interesting. I've got topics. I've got a list of topics that I'll talk with you about today. But first, let me make some excuses. So here's my excuse. I'm not communicating well with Gas Store right now because of my schedule. My work schedule is insane. I am experiencing what the experts call burnout. I'm in full, I don't know if it's workaholic burnout, but all 3 of my jobs are asking too much of me, and I would like for them to stop. No, I just have to do a lot of work right now. I'm going to lean back. I'm going to look at myself. By the way, if you're just listening, I do post these episodes on YouTube, and I'm recording video on my phone, and I'm sitting here in a corner of my apartment next to the Christmas tree, and I'm just checking to make sure I don't look totally... I have body feelings right now. I have feelings about how my body looks. They have been confirmed in the wild. I had the pleasant experience. Maybe you had this experience on Thanksgiving. I didn't think I'd talk about this yet, but I've been talking on stage about my body stuff and the way people comment on people's bodies, and I've been lucky in my life. I'm relatively fit, but I've just always had this baby fat pooch like my whole life. I've always had it, and it happens to be the biggest. Not the biggest. I think right before our wedding is when it was at its peak, but it's big again, and I'm in my head about it, and I'd like to handle it. I'm mad at myself that this summer I made a lot of headway. I think I went 120 days with no junk food, and it felt really good to do that and important to do that. I just just want to feel good. Like there is a lot of vanity attached to this, but I also just want to feel good. Anyway, Thanksgiving, I had a nice day. I ate. I didn't really overthink my eating. I mean, I ate, like we eat on Thanksgiving, right? And I'm like, all right, I'll just go for it, And that was kind of our attitude toward Franny. We were like, we're not going to fight with her about food. She can eat whatever she wants. Let's not overthink this. And at one point, she, my kid, my 4-year-old Franny, if you haven't heard me mention her on the podcast ever in your life, she was like climbing on my back. I was like, for some reason, I was low on the floor. She's on my back, and I said something to her like, "Oh, Franny, you're getting too heavy. I think you might hurt my back." I can't remember the exact turn of events or what was said, but my dad piped in with, "Well, maybe it's that big fat belly you're carrying around." Or something like that. I don't want to say that I know exactly what he said, but it was something like that because I had to immediately just ignore it because it made me feel like shit. Like I don't want to hear somebody comment on my body, but I also don't want to fight about it because we were having such a nice day. And I'm passive. I guess I'm passive. I want to avoid conflict with my family members at all costs. And I'd rather talk shit about them on here to strangers in the void. So that happened, and yeah, I'm self-conscious about my body. That was just the tangent. An uninvited. I'm also picking my nose a little bit because I remembered on my way here back home to do this that I have one big gray hair sticking out of my nose, but I don't think you guys can see it because you're pretty far away. Anyway, so Thanksgiving happened. Now we're on to the holiday, the rest of the holidays. It is December 10th at the time of this recording, so I'm recording this the day before its air date. And I'm in the shit, you guys. Just this morning I went to a meeting for the first time in quite some time. I go to the meetings for the drinking problem. Ross hates it when I talk around what kind of meetings do you go to on the podcast. She's like, why don't you just say AA? And I'm like, we're not supposed to say that we go to AA on YouTube. You're not supposed to do that because if I start talking like I'm some kind of expert or whatever, then people get this idea that I'm trying to sales pitch the program. And then if I have a relapse and people know that I talk about this so publicly, then it could be bad for the program. Whatever. I went to the book club meeting for alcoholics where everybody does not share their last names and they try to keep things a little secretive, maybe anonymous even. Anyway, I went there and I cried today. I cried at the meeting while speaking. Isn't that fun for men in public when you're just having a good cry? I did not even want to talk today at the meeting. I wanted to go and just listen and take in the message and quietly contemplate the things that are hard for me right now. And I just didn't, because I also was lucky enough to have therapy scheduled right afterward. So I figured I would listen at the meeting and then do all my talking on my therapy session. I do therapy by the phone because it's a vestige of the pandemic. It's just how things are going with my therapist, and it's great. It's working for me. I love her. She helps me so much. I put her in the special thanks to my special that is coming out. There's information. I'll give you information at the end of the podcast. Let me add that to my topics. Special logistics or special promo, maybe. So anyway, I go to the meeting. I just want to listen. And sometimes the way the format is always different at meetings. And this time people were sharing in a circle, and it just came to me like it was my turn to share. And I did not want to share because I want to sound, I'm 16 and a half years sober. I want to sound like I have it all figured out and I have something to offer newer people. And I don't feel great right now. I am in full burnout. I'm tired. I dislike many of the aspects of several of my jobs. I have to keep it vague. And the moment I just started saying that, I was admitting to, I'm tired, I feel burnt out, and I don't take care of myself enough. I just started crying. And I think the reason is that I've just been so proud my whole life of my ability to like just get through stuff and work hard for the things I want. And even when there's a lot of stuff going on, I know how to take care of business and get the job done and keep showing up and whatever, like white knuckle my way through things. And I think admitting that I am kind of up against it right now just felt unpleasant. So it was upsetting to say out loud, and I started crying, and that thing happened when men cry. My throat was like closing because I was trying to stop the cry. Once you try to stop the cry, then it builds in this weird way in your windpipe and your lungs and your chest, and everything starts getting all fucking crampy, and like I'm literally trying to resist crying. And I'm going, and I'm like having breathing problems. I'm like, and anyway, I just have a hard time. And I said, I hate the sound men make when they cry. Like, it sounds like a broken tuba, and somebody needs to fix that thing. The pipes are bent, and I'm crushing the inner tuba that's supposed to be soft. These are soft tissues inside our bodies. The lungs are soft. They're air sacs. They're soft sacs of like moist material. And I am just like trying to clamp them down. Like I'm trying to like picture whoopee cushions. I'm just trying to put those whoopee cushions into a balled fist and not let out that air and that emotion. And I actually said the thing about the tuba, and it got a big laugh, and I just stopped. I said, all right, thank you, this is great. And I stopped talking because you got to go out on a laugh. But I've experienced that so many different times in my life. I need a good cry often. I like a good cry. There've been hard conversations I've had with Ross where I have admitted to things, and she's been there to hold me while I cry. I remember attending my cousin's funeral and hugging his dad, who is my cousin, and I was just so sad for this family and so sad for this kid. And I just like burst into tears into my cousin's neck. Like I'll never forget that feeling of crying into another man's neck and just letting it out, and him whispering in my ear, let it out. And it was like, so I don't know, something chemically happens in your body, right? When you let out an emotion. So anyway, that's how my day started. It was uncomfortable, but I needed it. I needed some relief of going to a place to express myself, and perhaps God or the universe or whatever knew I needed that and made it so that I was seated in the spot where it would become my turn to speak. So anyway, yeah, I cried. Oh, the sound of men crying is what I was talking about. I also remember, hey, I'll just say it. It's not my business to really share, but at my grandmother's funeral, I remember hearing, did this actually happen? This is interesting. Ross and I overheard my dad cry at one point, and it was like a suppressed yelp that he didn't want to let out. It was very brief, but it was, maybe he was speaking. I can't remember if he was saying something or what the scenario was, or maybe it was me. I don't know. Anyway, I believe he also made that sound that was just like a dog getting hit by a car, where it's just like, like that sound. I don't know if I'm replicating it correctly, but it's just embarrassing. Men crying. It sucks. We live in a society where we can't just cry. We gotta just let it out, fellas. It's nice. It's nice, but it does suck for the other men in the room. Like, I couldn't bring myself to look around to see if the other men, like, I assume all the men do what protocol says to do. If a man is crying in the same room you're in, you look at your shoes. You look at your shoes, you think about when you got your shoes, how they're holding up. You think about all the places you've gone in the shoes. You think about the last time you tied them correctly. Should you tie them a little tighter right now? What's something I can fixate on about my footwear while this man falls apart? That's what everybody knows what to do. That's what every socialized American male knows to do in that scenario. Just don't make it worse by looking at the guy who's crying. Don't look at him. Look away. Look away. If a man is crying, look away. Pretend he's crying because he just got mauled by a dog and you don't want to look at it. So look away. Think about your shoes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes and imagine what you would like other people to do the next time you cry. Don't look at you. That's what it is. Anyway, shout out to Gas Store. He's doing great. He's got a big show this weekend. If you're in New York City on December 14th, this is a sad thing. It's kind of related to crying. Last year, Kenny DeForest, a beloved New York City comedian, passed away. And on this Saturday, they're going to do a big memorial show for him in Williamsburg at the Gutter. I have shows in New Jersey, so I'm not going to make it, but it's going to be a really beautiful thing that they put together. So if you love comedy and you love being in touch with your feelings, check out that show. Kenny was amazing. Gas Store's amazing. The whole crew that's putting on that show were like really close with Kenny and they love him very much. So it'll feel like a community event. So that's this Saturday, December 14th, at the Gutter in Williamsburg. Promotional stuff keeps coming, you guys. The thing I have to tell you about is Hurleyville, New York. I'm coming back for the holidays. December 21st, Saturday, we're doing a holiday horror storytelling show. So me and a handful of other comics are going to tell stories about how holidays have gone wrong in the past. Maybe I'll just talk about this one. Might be a current story that's not even polished yet. No, this holiday is going to be great. Right? Anyway, we'll be back at the Hurleyville Performing Arts Center. Who just sent me an email. I want to look this up because I'm gonna be distracted if I don't know what they're saying. So they're saying, oh, cool. They're doing some ads. They're promoting it upstate for the show. So it sounds like there's gonna be some commercials on the radio about this storytelling show, and it's up in the Catskills. It's Sullivan County. Done this venue a few times now, so that's great. That makes me feel good. They're going to do those ads. I think Richard, one of the storytellers, he's going to go on Radio Catskill and do some promotions as well. So maybe I don't have to make a social media ad. I've done these before on here where I put it on Instagram, and I guess I could riff around it. Hey, Hurleyville, New York. Are you going to celebrate the Christmas holiday, the Jewish holiday, the Kwanzaa holiday? Are you doing New Year's? Did you do Thanksgiving? How was Halloween? How were all of your holidays in Hurleyville? Were they a good time or were they a little bit off the rails? Because we have a comedy show where we celebrate the crazy stuff. We're going to do a storytelling comedy show where we tell stories about all the tough holidays we've had in the past and how things have gone wrong. So come out on Saturday, December 21st. We'll open the doors at 6 p.m., have a cocktail hour, listen to some fun Christmas music, holiday music, and then 7 o'clock we'll start the show in the cinema. And the group of comics I have coming up for this thing are amazing. We have Sandy Marks, who is a multiple Moth Slam winner. Richard Cardillo. What is Richard's last name, you guys? I should be prepared for this. We have Joey Rinaldi, who's a good friend of mine. And then a couple other people Richard Cardillo will be on the bill, and he has also won several Moth Story Slams. He's just such a cool guy, and he lives up in Sullivan County now, so that's why he got radio duty. Anyway, that's coming up Saturday the 21st. All right. I guess I alluded to my special. I'll talk about where my first comedy special is at. Let me take a sip of water. You got to hydrate, you guys. You got to hydrate because you have moist air sacs in your chest, and that's what you breathe with and cry with. Yeah, so my comedy special is done. It is allegedly going to be available on Amazon in April, I think, March or April 2025. It's a little frustrating it's taken this long. I should have probably just done it myself and put it on YouTube and prayed for the best, but here we are. This is what's going on. It's like a comedy. I don't even want to say the company that's going to put it out, but I think it will be under a certain label or production company or whatever. And they're going to put it on Amazon. And I think it'll sell on Amazon for a period of time, like 6 months or a year or something like that. And then it'll end up on YouTube at some point. So if you've been following along, I'd love it if you checked it out. I think it'll probably cost $8 or something like that. I will probably never see any of that money, and that's okay. Not the end of the world. I just want the jokes to be out there. So that's going to be, I think March or April. The other big project I've been working on for the last couple years now, I guess in February, it'll be 2 years that this thing has been in progress, is the Tom Dustin Portrait of a Comedian documentary. That is going to be out in the world. So what's happening is we're playing it at a big premiere in Somerville, Massachusetts on January 9th. And then I think in February, it's going to be out in theaters around the country. It's going to do a run of theatrical releases in like independent theaters. Like, so I assume major cities around the country, like kind of like independently run theaters. There's some guy or company, I don't know all the details yet. I'm getting this third-hand information, basically, and or second-hand. It's Joe. Joe has told me about it. Joe List, the director. He's got this guy releasing it and promote. I don't know if it's being promoted. I'll probably end up making a trailer to send around, but that's like really exciting. That's a cool feeling. I did not think it was an option that this little documentary we made was going to be in the movies. So if you hear about this and you can see it in whatever theater or city you're in, it would mean a lot to me. It's like the best thing I've ever made, I think. I don't know. I'm like proud of it in all these different ways that I can't quite put to words yet. I think it just keeps surprising me how much people love this film. So that's going on. That's like a good thing. Maybe this podcast is just me talking out the things I'm grateful for. Is this weird for you yet, that it's just me talking? Is this okay? Is everybody all right? I think it's fine. Gastor, he won't ever see it, so that's good. He would definitely add a lot to this if he were here. I mean, that booming laugh is like being hugged. When he laughs at something you say, it's just so nice, and he's so funny, and he always has an interesting way of looking at things. I think we are really good at disagreeing with each other. When I disagree with him, I just say something passive and I move on. That's kind of nice, right? Maybe that's one of the benefits of being as passive as me, is you just pretend like you didn't hear what they said. All right. So I mentioned Kenny DeForest, Hurleyville, cried at a meeting. I'm in burnout. I told you about my special. So I guess I'll get to, I'll try to tell a couple stories, or just, maybe these are more excuses. So Ross is in, she finished up this big yoga training. She's been doing, she did 4 big weekends of 3-day weekend yoga trainings. Like, I guess it works out to about 20 hours a weekend of going in and taking these intense classes. Advanced teacher training is what I think it's called. And her 4th and final one was this past weekend. So I had Franny solo for like quite a long time each day, and which was really great overall, but it's challenging. and we went to a birthday party at a gymnastics studio, which was super fun. Shout out to Lucas, who turned 4. It was so fun. And then the next day we saw Moana 2, and we went to the playground in another neighborhood, and we got cool pictures in front of this house with all these decorations. We decorated this tree in our apartment on Saturday. Franny took the lead on all the decorating. Like, she literally hung all these ornaments, and she did a great job of like composing the tree. Like, they're well distributed. They're well hung. I think I adjusted the hanging on a couple of them. She didn't take it too personally after realizing that there are dozens of ornaments with me and Ross's name on them, or just my name on them, but literally just one with her name on there. I had to explain to her that many of these came from before she existed, and she didn't take that too personally. So we did that, and the problem with this weekend, and this is my own stupid fault, is that I said yes to 3 midnight gigs in a row. So Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, I had midnight gigs in the West Village at the Grizzly Pear. The first night I was just doing a spot, so I just showed up. I went up first, and I drove back home. But the next 2 nights, I was there from like 11:45 p.m. until at least 1 a.m., more like 1:30 a.m. both nights. And I was on stage at midnight, emceeing a show, bringing up multiple comics after having had a full-ass day of solo parenting. All 3 of those nights, I laid down to go to bed with Franny at about 8 o'clock, fell asleep, like fully fell asleep hard, and then woke up to an alarm at 10:45 to get up, jump in the car, and drive into the city. And that is a surreal feeling, to be totally asleep and then force yourself awake to go perform and try to be funny with a full-on groggy feeling of like, you need to just stay in bed, dude. Not sure if you can hear it, but we got sirens coming by. So yeah, I am tired. I'm really, really tired, physically tired. Last night I did not have a gig, but I went to bed with Franny and stayed in bed with her, and just stayed in bed for, I don't know, 10 hours or whatever, until I had to get up at 6:30, whatever time we got up. But I can't be doing midnight gigs anymore, I think. But I need the stage time. This is the problem. So, all right, so I guess this kind of ties into my next topic. So, I am a 43-year-old man. I started doing comedy at 32 for real. I mean, it was my 3rd attempt at doing it over the years, but this was the time it stuck. I was 32. Going on 33. I turned 33 2 weeks into performing. March 4th, 2014 was, or no, maybe I turned 30. I don't fucking know the math. Who gives a shit? The point is, I waited too long to start. And taking a sip for the listener, I gotta hydrate. Because your insides are just soft, fleshy material, and it needs water. Your voice box, too, your vocal cords, they need a lot of water. They got to drink. They got to stay soft, because when you cry as a man, if you're going to cry through your vocal cords, they should be wet. They should just be wet and sloppy and, like, drippy. And you got to just let it out. Let it out in a howl or a, like a healthy cry, I think, sounds like this. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like it's breathing. It's it's just so sad. Like, that's a healthy cry. You're actually exhaling through it. An unhealthy suppressed cry feels like kind of brain freeze without the temperature aspect. You know when you get brain freeze on the roof of your mouth and everything constricts and it feels like it's like that dull, achy pain thing, but it's all that without the temperature. So it's just like like it's those sounds. It's that part of the body because you're like flexing or something. So you gotta, if you know you're gonna cry, you gotta hydrate and keep all that stuff loose. Taking another sip. So give me a second. I'm talking by myself here. All right. So I'm 43. I am like one of the guys I brought up the other night, Gordon Kucher, so funny comic from Long Island. He's on stage talking about his 21st birthday he had recently. And I'm like, this kid, and I asked him afterward, he mentioned he's from Long Island, and I was like, where are you from in Long Island? He said, Rockville Center, and I said, I went to CW Post College. We're talking about Long Island, and I told him, the summer after my freshman year, when I was at CW Post in Long Island, I remember going online and looking at the Governor's Comedy Club website to figure out how they do open mics. Because I was like, I knew at that point I wanted to be a comedian. I had done some open mics in Manhattan, and I figured I should find some open mics in Long Island. I looked it up. I saw Governor's had a comedy class. And this is on an old-timey looking website. This is the summer of 2000. So they didn't have an Instagram page. They didn't have a mobile app website. I mean, it literally on a computer looking at their website, researching this stuff. And I didn't go for it back then. I had too much fear, whatever. I've probably covered this on other podcasts. I'm talking to this 21-year-old kid at 1 a.m. I wish I could talk to him all night because I used to get to do that. I used to get to do the show or the mic or whatever, hang out, go get ice cream, get a late night snack and bullshit about comedy. But now it's like I gotta get home because my day is gonna start again at 6:30, 7 in the morning. I've got other jobs now. I've got I keep humble bragging about I have 3 jobs to maintain here. Is that humble? No, that's ego complaining. It's not humble bragging, it's ego complaining, because it's not even false humility. Like, I am just fully complaining, and I'm saying I have 3 jobs over and over again, so everybody feels so fucking sorry for me, and that they know that they have an invite to my pity party. If you hear me say anything about I work 3 jobs, that is your invitation to my pity party. Come on in, let me complain more to you, and ask me about how hard my life is. That's the invitation. That's what I'm going for. Anyway, I keep saying this thing about being 43 because I feel myself feeling less and less relevant in certain spaces. Like I can see like some of these crowds, especially on these midnight shows, like there was one table that was just all these young like 22-year-olds who just like were like, yeah, I guess we'll go to a comedy show at this hour. They got barked in from outside, and I think I realized, they don't get what I'm talking about, or they're just not interested in what I'm talking about, because I either made the mistake of mentioning my age, because I don't, this is a weird tangent brag, but like sometimes people will say they can't believe that I'm as old as I say I am. They say I look good for my age, and I think I'm somewhat youthful in some ways, but there have just been some instances recently where I'm like, oh, these people are so young. They know I'm old. They think I look old. They think my material is hacky or offensive in an old timey way or whatever. And I'm just sort of feeling like, oh, I don't really fit in here right now, which I have to just deal with. Like, that's just what's going on, and it's okay, like, and probably untrue. So as I check the shirt so that you can't see my big belly right here, so yeah, like I am feeling encroaching and impending irrelevance and sort of like weird morbidity type stuff, or like what, like what is next? Like, where do I get to fit in as middle? I mean, I am fully middle-aged now. I mean, what is middle-aged? In your 30s? Like, in New York City, I got to feel like my 30s were just another set of 20s, you know? But now I'm 43 with a child and a marriage and a mortgage and 3 jobs. Did I tell you I have 3 jobs? I have all these responsibilities, and I can't overthink this shit. I just gotta, like, I don't know, live my life and move on and not worry about it so much. But you know, I guess I have to acknowledge that, like, I'm not in the scene, you know, like I don't get invited to do the cool shows. I also don't submit to be considered for them. I don't go viral. I don't post enough clips to go viral. You know, this podcast is certainly not really attracting new listeners. The clips do okay, but like, I don't think people are really interested in what I have to say. So yeah, I'm just kind of like, when the other 2 jobs become so hard and I'm so like overworked and burnt out, I go to a place of like, what am I even trying for with comedy? Like, what's the point of this? You know, it's just going to be a never ending slog, you know? And of course I just want to keep doing it to just express myself. So I'll just have to keep creating my own space to do that. But I think the morbid part of this comes in when, and I would be remiss to not say, I don't even know what remiss means, but I know that's how you say it. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the money problems. The Kia Sorento has been a running storyline on this podcast ever since Gas Store jumped in and we did a couple of those road episodes. The Kia Sorento has problems. Our HVAC closet here in the house has had some problems, and we've had to pay some money to get things fixed. And the car is looking like it's time for a new car. And that has Ross and I both spinning out about money. And so when we have the harsh reality that, hey, you're not making enough money, there's not enough money you currently have possession of, and there's not outstanding invoices that are bringing more money in, it spins me out where I'm like, well, shit, like I can't be doing midnight shows if I should be hustling on other projects to make more money. Like, what am I doing bullshit shows that pay $20 when I should be doing stuff that would support my family? So I start going to this place of like, I'm a bad person, I'm a bad dad, I'm not even relevant as an artist, I should be, should, blah, blah, blah. So it's the money, and then it's the death, the actual death. All the dads I know are dying. That's weird. It's fucking weird, man. I got like 4 friends in the last 6 or I don't know, the last year or whatever. Let's say in the last year, I think it's 4 or 5 friends from various parts of my life have had dads who have passed away, and that's freaking me out. I mean, I am 43. When my dad was 43, he had he had like a 17-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 13-year-old. Does that make sense? Let's say he was 25 when he had PJ, that means when he was 43, he had a 17 or 18-year-old. PJ was 17 or 18. Is that math right? 25 plus 17 would be 42. So yeah, he had a 17 or 18-year-old, a 14 or 15-year-old, and a 13 or 14-year-old between me, my brother, and my sister. And that feels crazy to me. Like how much longer is my own dad going to be around for is the obvious question when I think about all my friends' dads dying. And then how much more do I have? If I'm 43 and I started comedy 10 and a half years ago now, that went pretty quick. What the hell am I going to be doing in 10 years from now? 53 years old? Hopefully things will have progressed and I'm not like doing midnight spots at dive bars, but I gotta kind of figure it out. I mean, I did just get an email from my agent, my college agent. I have a college agent and that's it. So that means that's a professional person who helps me get gigs at colleges, even though I will say I'm my own best college agent. I think most of my gigs have come from my own sweat equity. I will brag about that. But he emailed to say that it's looking like colleges like are sort of done or are having a crisis of and I've noticed this. I mean, it's a classic thing. Most comics notice you go do a college gig, nobody comes. I've probably done 75 colleges now, and maybe 20 of them were really fun, great shows. And the rest, it's like you're performing for either a handful of students who don't want to be there or a handful of students who are really enthusiastic and they're grateful you're there, but it's a hard show because it's just a few people, whatever. And I don't know. He sent this email. He sent a big promotional push because I'll mention this. Maybe out in the void, somebody will listen to this, but I'll be in Wisconsin and Illinois from February 28th through March 8th. And I'm looking to fill out those nights to do gigs and daytimes. I'm doing one daytime gig at a school in Wisconsin, and I want to fill in the other days so I can make money, of course, and, just make it a productive trip. So he sent out this big promotional email to schools in that area so that they know that I'm around and available and we can reduce the fee because I'll already have traveled out there, etc. He said, I sent this big thing. It went to like 1,000 schools or something. And then he said, but the caveat is we're hearing that a lot of schools don't really want to book staged performances anymore. Like they don't want to do bands or comedy or magic or whatever as much as they used to. And they actually want to be doing DIY crafts and experiential things, interactive discussion-based events. And I don't know, maybe this is good for me to know. Maybe it's time to pack it in with the college side hustle. My vision with this in 2018 when I started the college show was like, okay, this will be like the money-making part of my comedy career. I'll just do like, I think the math that worked out for me at the time was like, if I could just do 4 schools a month, that would be enough to kind of live off of, and I wouldn't have to have a real job. And then, whatever. Now with the kid and everything, I think I would need to do probably double that. Like if I had 8 schools a month, I could make a pretty decent living, but it just never happened, and it probably won't happen. And especially now with this new information. So I'm sort of like, maybe this feels like the time to like, just say goodbye to that show. I mean, the special I have that's coming out is essentially all the funny parts of that show. And not really though. Anyway, but my point is maybe I need to know that like that's over. Colleges are over, and I can do other things. All right, I'm losing the plot here. Who's still listening? If you're still listening, write something in the comments that lets me know that people listen at all. You could write all the dads are dying, LOL, in the comments, and then I'll know that you listened up until minute 43 of this podcast. But yeah, it's got me freaked out. It's got me really thinking about the what is the plan, I'm fully in the second half of my life here. How am I going to spend it? I think these last 10 years have given me a good start. Like I really do love the thing I love most is performing and making people laugh and bringing people together. And I think I can just keep doing that into old age. I just have to be savvy about how I do it in a way that helps me make a living, because this grind I'm on right now is just unsustainable. So, I don't know. Anyway, happy holidays. I'm glad I did this. I don't care if I talk about, oh, we only have a few listeners or whatever, or nobody listens to this, but that's fine. I'm really okay with whoever is listening. I hope this was nice for you, or I hope I kept you company. I need to express myself. That's just part of my DNA. So I'm very grateful for whoever is listening, and hopefully we're back next week with Gastor or Ross. I'll try to nail down. I'll try to be better about scheduling and communication. Talked a lot about that in therapy today. Talked to her about how I need to be not trying to sales pitch Ross on the things I want in life, but to ask for her help on them, because I think Ross is a very powerful person who I'm not doing the best with communicating with her either. So yeah, if you're in my life, I'm going to ask for more help. So get your shit together, whoever that may be. That's weird. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, hopefully, if you're in New York City this weekend and you want to see comedy, go check out the Kenny DeForest Memorial Show this Saturday at the Gutter. And then a week from that, on December 21st, if you're upstate in Ulster County, Sullivan County, anywhere up there near Hurleyville, New York, come to the HPAC for the holiday storytelling show. It should be really fun. I think the holidays are stressful. People want to connect and bond and like have a good time. So I think that's going to be a perfect event for that. Anyway, my name is Patrick Holbert. This is We Hired a Sitter for This. Please let me know if this worked for you. If it did, send me a note or a text or a comment, even better. Tell a friend. If there's other dads out there, I don't know. I feel like I'm not great. I don't want to like hustle and promote this podcast. I don't want to be like, hey, I'm like a cool dad. Like, you got to listen to this podcast and subscribe to my YouTube, blah, blah, blah. But I'm supposed to do that, right? So anyway, do you know anybody who would like this kind of a program? Do they like the word program? I'm thinking I just feel like there are dads out there who aren't as sensitive as me, and but are also as guarded as me. Like I think I am sensitive, but I think I have a lot of the socialized, suppressed guy energy stuff going on. So maybe you know somebody like that. That you could tell about it. What was I just going to say? I was just going to say something else. Oh yeah. I mean, on this episode, I gave a literal instruction manual presentation on how to cry and then how to deal with it if another man is crying. I mean, who doesn't need that? Like, you must know a guy who needs to know how to cry and how to let it out. So, I don't know. Maybe that's the title of this episode. All the dads are dying and crying. That'll get views, right? See you guys.